Delighted to be present during this part of the Tech Summit for 2019. Let me first of all congratulate you, Mrs. Khanna, and all your team members for bringing this event back to Hyderabad. I was here during the last year's edition as well, and I was very impressed with the professional way in which the whole thing was put together, the kind of involvement and engagement the organizing team had with each of the speakers, and the kind of strong value proposition this conference offered to all the participants. So in this context, the Forbes recognition is extremely well-deserved, and may you continue to make this event even more useful, productive, bigger in years to come. And I do hope that you will now decide upon making Hyderabad as the permanent venue for this event, because you won't get this kind of MICE environment, MICE infrastructure anywhere else in the country. I was told that roughly half the participants are from outside Hyderabad, so let me also extend my welcome to all of you. And I do hope that not only you enjoy the richness of this conference over these 2 days, but you also get a chance to sample the flavors of the city. We are in the middle of the Ramzan season, which is one of the most festive seasons in Hyderabad. So do make it a point to explore the city. And Ramzan is a period when a lot of very, very unique things are offered. So make sure that you are a part of all that. I was asked to, as Mrs. Khanna mentioned, I have been asked to speak about entrepreneurial leadership. What I felt is that instead of speaking about concepts or theories, I would like to present the case study of Telangana as a state and what we have done in the last 4.5 years. See, most of you would be aware that the experience of creating new states in India can at best be called mixed. The last time new states were created was in 2001, when 3 new states were created. And today, after almost 18 years, when you look back at those 3 states which were created newly, it's only out of politeness that you can still call them as developing states or emerging states, when we know for sure that nothing further will develop there, nothing much will emerge there. And there was a very serious risk that Telangana could have also traveled the same path. It could have also gone down the same path in these, going by the experience of the other states which were created new. But as we all know, what we have achieved in the last 5 years has been a remarkable growth story. And while there are amazing things happening all across the spectrum, I would like to highlight one particular aspect and emphasize the importance of leadership, particularly entrepreneurial or out of the box or new gen kind of leadership, to explain this concept of why it matters so much, why is it such a big differentiator for organizations and at a macro level, even for the governments today. So 5 years, as I said, down the line, Telangana was created in 2014, actually on June 2014, so literally 5 years ago. And in these 5 years, we have earned the reputation, and very rightly so, it is not an exaggeration or a hyperbole, that we are called the startup state of the country. All of you would be aware that Israel is recognized as the startup nation, but within our country, we have been recognized as the startup state. And let me tell you this about this story right from the beginning. In 2014, when the state of Telangana was created, we conducted an exercise. It was a very large visioning exercise. It was called Envision Telangana. Within days of the new state getting formed, in which we gathered lots of experts. As all of you would be aware, we have great knowledge-based institutions here in Hyderabad, like the Indian School of Business and the IIT, Triple IT, the Hyderabad Central University, and so on and so forth. So experts from all these places were gathered, and we generally were discussing with them on what should be the approach of this new state, so that we are able to fast track, not just fast track, but even leapfrog in some ways, or pole vault in our development journey. And one recommendation which each of these experts made was that this is the era of startups. And as a state, we should be very welcoming. We should be very embracing of startups. And today, of course, we all would agree that startups have become the new poster boys of the economy. Not only are they creating new organizations, new jobs, they're also contributing a lot to the economy. They're bringing that dynamism and vitality. And of course, they're creating amazing products, amazing solutions, services, some of which have become very, very transformative in our day-to-day lives. So this recommendation was that as a state, we should be a state which should be very embracing and welcoming of startups. In 2014, around June or so, the city of Hyderabad had 2 incubators and roughly around 200 startups. And these 200 startups also were of a middling kind of a nature. They were just emerging. Some of them were kind of in the process of dying out. And these 2 incubators, one was in ISB, the other one was in Triple IT. The Triple IT one incidentally celebrated its 10th year a few months ago. So it's an old incubator, one of the oldest campus-based incubators in the country. That one in ISB was just kind of beginning. So of the 200 startups, we then thought that, okay, if the state has to become a very supportive state to startups and all, let us find out from the existing startups what kind of support they require. So we gathered around 50, 60 of them. As I said, there were roughly around 200 of them. So we gathered about 50, 60 of them. And we asked them, what kind of help, what kind of support do you require from the government? And the unanimous answer was that if the government stays away from us, that is the best help we can get. And of course, it's not very difficult to imagine where they were coming from, where these kind of answers come from. These kind of answers come from years of experience in dealing with the government in terms of over-regulation, micromanagement, misplaced priorities, and so on and so forth. So it's not really very difficult to expect these kind of responses. But we also felt that if we avoid all that, but if we provide strategic support, can we really do good to the world of the startups? And then we really asked them to tell about their pain points, to tell about their difficulties, and quite a few answers came. For example, one of the common pain points which was mentioned was that we have difficulty in accessing quality space in our tech area, which is this particular area. The enclave where we are sitting right now, this is called Cyberabad, and some of you may be aware that all the tech companies, all the knowledge institutions, these institutions that I spoke about, ISB, Triple IT, these are all located here. And it is important for a startup to stay connected with this particular enclave because a lot is happening. The entire tech world is here. But obviously the rentals will be very high, and therefore the ability to access affordable space in this enclave will be very, very difficult for a startup. So this was one of the pain points which was identified, and our immediate response was that if you find it difficult to access affordable space, we will create it for you. And today we feel very proud to share this with you that we host the country's largest tech incubator, which is called T-Hub. In fact, if you get any chance to visit it, this has today become, just as people visit the Charminar and the Golconda Fort, this has also become a kind of a must-visit place for enlightened people who come to the city. And this is a 70,000 square feet facility where 800 startups can operate. But it is not just the hardware alone. What happens inside the T-Hub is even more fascinating. The kind of curation which is given to startups, the kind of mentorship which is offered, the kind of assistance which is provided for the startup to access markets, to access funds, and so on and so forth. And a very comprehensive ecosystem has been very meticulously put together by the government. And when we built the T-Hub building, we didn't realize so much of appetite in the startup world for quality space and the support facilities which go around with it. And the place got sold out within weeks of its opening. And therefore, the government decided to invest in a second facility, a much bigger facility, which is under construction and should be ready before the end of the year. This will incidentally be 5 times bigger than the existing T-Hub building. So when I said that the T-Hub is itself the largest such facility in the country, imagine what is going to come next, something which is going to be 5 times bigger than that. So this was just a response. Government decided to put its money in those areas where there is a felt need expressed by the startup. So when they mentioned that getting space is a problem, we responded to it. Another issue which many of them pointed out was acquiring the first customer is the biggest challenge for us, and which is very true. In fact, I know that there are startup representatives in this hall also. Many of them are participating in the hackathon Mrs. Khanna mentioned about. And I'm sure all of you would agree that acquiring the first customer in such a competitive world is extremely, extremely difficult. In Telangana, what we did is something that has become a national role model today. We have brought out a startup and innovation policy in which we have assured that if a homegrown startup has any product or a solution which is relevant to the government, we will procure it bilaterally. There is no procurement process for such startup solutions. You don't have to participate in a bid and try to outbid other competitors. As all of us know, many startups would not even qualify or would be found eligible to participate in the bid because the bid requires typically for the bidder to have some kind of a net worth, some kind of an experience, and so on and so forth, which obviously a startup will just not be able to bring. So we have done away with that procurement process. And again, I feel very proud to share with you that in the last 4.5 years or so, at least 3 dozen plus such startup products and solutions have been adopted in different government departments, government agencies in Telangana, and they have been given the first opportunity to access the market. And many startups, because they got the first customer here in Telangana as the government, have used that opening to find deeper entry into the market and acquire more and more customers. The point which I'm trying to make is that if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, when this recommendation was made that the states should support startups, one would have been just to say, pay lip service to it, fine, you announce that, okay, we welcome startups. But where are the concrete programs? Where is your money? Are you putting the money where your mouth is? And we have shown in the last 5 years or so that it is possible to provide strategic support without over-regulation, without micromanagement, and do a lot of good for the intended stakeholders that you wish to support. So the bottom line is, my time is also up. The bottom line is that entrepreneurial leadership is a matter of not just mindset, but how do you also translate that into action or in execution. And it is relevant not just of startups, not just of mid-scale companies, not just of large organizations, but even at the government level, as our experience in the last 5 years here in Telangana has shown. So I do hope that there'll be great insights you will be getting from the impressive array of speakers who are to address you over these next two days. I do hope that those of you who are from Hyderabad or Telangana would continue to offer solutions and suggestions and of course concrete help to various initiatives of the government. Those of you who are from outside, I'm sure would also find opportunities to learn about our multiple initiatives and find ways to connect with us. Once again, my warm and cordial welcome to all the participants, particularly the outstation participants. And once again, my sincere gratitude to the entire team of the Tech Summit 2019 for bringing it back to Hyderabad, as I said. And congratulations once again, Mrs. Khanna, for the Forbes recognition. Thank you very much.